Good afternoon, students. So, in the fourth unit of our knowledge representation reasoning, we see the importance of object representation and object-oriented representation in terms of various real-time entity and how the objects are connected with the various attributes and parameter and then various the parameter. Here, in terms of the object representation of the knowledge representation reasoning, we getting into one of the important parameter called taxonomy. So when object is derived in terms of a taxonomy, it is classified into three types: alpha taxonomy, beta and then gamma. Depending upon the properties and attributes of the the entities, it is classified. Alpha basic, beta in terms of advanced, and then gamma in terms of derived from our both alpha and then beta. What happened again in terms of object is our real-time entity. Here in terms of these various alpha taxonomy, beta and then gamma, we will be focusing of the various properties, attributes, behavior and various parameters. And probably what happened in terms of the taxonomy is given by a simple Simpson rule. What's the Simpson rule? How the various objects are connected and how the relationship, and in terms of the in the database we see the n number of normalization. Again this systematic representation of the taxonomy by a Simpson rule give the way of representation of the behavior of object in terms of the either in terms of architecture diagram of project or maybe of the flow diagram and etc. Followed by the relationship between systematic and taxonomy. Because what happened? We know the taxonomy is classified into alpha, beta, gamma. Systematic in the sense what happened? How the various units are derived and what are the various computation units are involved, how it is related and how the various processes are linked in terms of branching, looping and again the implication procedure. Everything is given in terms of a description language. Not only reading the content, by viewing the diagram itself with the taxonomy, we can find out what happened, what about the level of the computation intelligence and then computation taxonomies are getting in. Followed by what happened, take an example when it is going to deriving of spices of the kingdom. What happened in terms of biology or in terms of what are various algorithms are available, supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, ANN, CNN, etc. example. Here what happened in terms of the species of the biology. Here what happened, first you going to derive and give a description about the object and identify the various attributes, followed by nomenclature. In the sense what happened, the extra features and possibilities, and again here classification. In terms of the classification, we know in terms of the various level of the inheritance, whether it's a single level, multi-level, or maybe of a derived level, or maybe of anything. So here the description is given about the property of the object and what it is belong to it, and the identification, how to identify in terms of the machine learning algorithm, and followed by nomenclature in terms of the special attribute, and again what happened, classification, how it is derived and etc. Here in the connection, here what happened in terms of taking an example of how the species of the nomenclature of the taxonomies are getting here. Take an example of how the various species are originated in terms of the biology. Already we know that in terms of here, derived from one object to other object. Here from any of the small cell. Here what happened, kingdom. What kingdom? Maybe of animal kingdom or plant kingdom or anything. What happened? We describe the identification how to divide because it is a living object. Followed by division of the phylum, whether it's belonging to a red blood or maybe of a white blood. In terms of the red blood, it will be come under the category of a movable object. Phylum in the sense what happened, the concern. Already we know in terms of biology, it's of a non-movable like a tree or anything. Classes, how it is classes, either of a what type of veins and what type of the things and depending upon the rule. See here in terms of species what happened, kingdom, division, class, order, how it is ordered, and what the family. Either it's of a animal or maybe of a living or maybe of a non-living or maybe of a plant system. A genus, what type of the cells are presented, and species. For an example, what happened? Similarly, the taxonomy gives an overall idea about of the what is systematic representation. By looking it, you can identify what are the various computation unit, the level of the computation and complexities are getting involved, such as what about description, identification, nomenclature and classification as a Simpson rule of the taxonomy, how it is connected with the specification. Because we see in the last class what happened, how to represent as our model as a architecture. Finally, what happened? The taxonomy is an important parameter in terms of giving up a object representation of any type of application, either system application, mobile application, or your end semester project. The specification system gives us a overall idea in terms of what to say, like a Gale and AI implemented like Python. Very thank you, my dear students.